because OTAs have started, it's extremely important to remind all of you watching right now, the MVP voting last season, it broke down like this. So Aaron Rodgers, 78% of the votes. TB12, he's almost 75 years old, still getting 10 of the 50 first place votes. And shout out to the one person who decided to vote Cooper Kupp as the MVP there. Hey man, you can't forget him, dude. You really can't. DraftKings contributors Geoff, Ulrich, Pearce, Dietrich in the house. Let's take guys. Wow, Pearce, you look nice today. What's going on?
Celebrating America.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that. Geoff, how about you show some love to the neighbors to your south?
Celebrating Nick Foles and the Philly special today. So.
Oh, great. Yeah.
That's every day in my house, though, that we celebrate
It's
that,
true.
So.
Yep, Jaguars legend, Nick Foles. Who can forget? Let's take a way too early look at the MVP odds here, guys. So Josh Allen, the current favorite, plus 700 on DK Sportsbook. You got the usual suspects after him. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Justin Herbert. You got Aaron Rodgers. They're all close behind. Geoff, which other position, though, do you think has a shot at this? This has become a quarterback award.
Yeah, there's really no point in talking about any other position. There's no other position. What is a player supposed to do better than Cooper Kupp did last year at the wide receiver position? And he got one vote. There's literally, you can't have a better season than Cooper Kupp had last season. It's almost physically impossible. Jonathan Taylor, even we could say as well. These guys had historically good seasons, and they still got one vote between the two of them. So, no, this is quarterbacks and quarterbacks only. You might as well just call it the best quarterback award or something to that effect. But, in terms of looking at the odds here, there's really no other position that I want to look at. There's really no reason to bet any other position. Maybe one day this will change, but, looking at the top of the board right now, I know a lot of people are up on Justin Herbert. I really don't mind that call. It's just that you're betting him at the same price as Patrick Mahomes right now, essentially. Mahomes plus 900, Herbert plus 1,000. I would probably prefer, if you're going to think about Herbert, to bet Russell Wilson instead. I still think Russell Wilson has an MVP season in him. He's plus 1,400. You're getting way better odds. That is where I would go today, right now. The odds on some of these players have switched a little bit. I know Jalen Hurts at one point was plus 4,000. I can't bet him at plus 1,800. I'd much rather go to Wilson.
What do you think, Pearce? I have this article pulled up on DK Nation, and it says a couple running backs are getting some bets on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Jonathan Taylor, 3% of running back bets. Derrick Henry, 2%. Christian McCaffrey, 1%.
Yeah, those people are throwing their money away. I'm sorry. It's a quarterback sport, first of all. We know that. And over the last 15 years, the way they've adjusted the rules, it's become a quarterback league. Over the last 2 decades, we have seen some running backs come through, but those were Hall of Fame running backs in LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Alexander, Adrian Peterson. Hey, Jonathan Taylor is great, but we might want to pump the brakes to compare him to those guys. Maybe let's pretend that he is on an equal level of those players. Well, the league has shifted even more or skewed more towards passing. And then also, he's got to get the volume. I don't know if he's going to get LaDainian Tomlinson type of volume. I know he won't get Adrian Peterson type of volume. And then he also needs a scheme that's built around him. Those offenses were completely focused on those star running backs. Taylor is going to get a lot of attention, but they brought in Matt Ryan. They spent a second-round draft pick on a wide receiver. It's a passing league. He's still young in his career. Why wear him down right now? I just don't see any running back ever winning this award until the rules change or football changes dramatically. It's just QBs from here on out. Yeah,
it is a passing league, which is why we've seen some wide receivers put up massive numbers over the past few years, like Cooper Kupp. He leads the way here in the Offensive Player of the Year department, plus 800. Would he be your pick right now after last year's historic season, Pearce?
No, I wouldn't go there. Look, we could see Allen Robinson turn into the star receiver that we've been waiting on. There's also the possibility that the Rams start running the ball. They've got these running backs that we kind of have believed in. They've dealt with injuries. This could be the year where Akers finally breaks out, or one of the running backs takes over and becomes a star, and that eats into his workload. We could also see that offensive line regress with losing Andrew Whitworth. There's a lot of questions surrounding the Rams. And then also, that was just an insane season. There is just no, sure, there's a possibility that he could put up those numbers again, but he's got to regress a little bit. And as we mentioned, look, he put up some of the greatest receiving numbers ever and got a vote. So he might win Offensive Player of the Year, but I wouldn't bet on it right now.
All right, Geoff, how about down here, man? Travis Kelce, plus 3,000. That seems like some pretty good value. I'm not going to lie. No Tyreek Hill anymore there in Kansas City.
Yeah, look, you're close there. We're in the right range. Travis Kelce, a little bit too on the, like the wrong side of like whatever, 27, 28 for me at this point. I do agree, like the targets will probably be there for him, but I look at a couple receivers in that range, and I'm actually perplexed why they're even available at those odds. Justin Jefferson at plus 2,800, man. I mean, this was a top 3 fantasy player at the position. Yes, like Pearce alluded to, like I think you have to play the Rams for some regression this year. They ran well with injuries. If Stafford misses some time, that's going to affect Cup. Like he said, like the running backs will probably be a lot healthier this year too. I think Justin Jefferson, though, is a fantastic target in this betting department. Awards can be tricky, but Justin Jefferson's. You look at some of the advanced stats on him. His ADOT was like 4 yards bigger than Cooper Kupp, yet he still maintained a pretty elite catch rate with Kirk Cousins as QB. I think the sky's the limit for Justin Jefferson. As Adam Thielen ages a little bit, I think his target share probably might even spike a little bit this year. So that's probably my favorite target there. But like Jamar Chase at plus 3,500. If you just bet those two guys at those fantastic odds, I think it's a really good way to play offensive player of the year right now.
All right, let's go defensive side of the ball. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Aaron Donald. I mean, Parsons out there in Dallas, kind of the usual suspects. But any sneaky plays here, Geoff?
Like looking down the odds, it's not really as much. I mean, you could certainly make cases. There's a lot of good players down there, but in terms of what you have to do, like the kind of insane stats that you have to put up to really win Defensive Player of the Year, I think I would probably stop right around Chase Young at plus 2,000. That seems to me like playing for the bounce back years, and we've seen this before happen a lot on the Defensive Players of the Year. Just playing the fact that these guys have regressed in the odds because, it was just an off year for them. So much was expected. And then, now instead of getting Chase Young at plus 700, you're getting him at plus 2,000. So I think that the Washington Commanders, too, what do they want to do? Like, they keep bringing in these running backs. They want to play good defensive ball. They don't want to get in a bunch of shootouts. And they want to let, Chase Young try and take over the game and not let Carson Wentz lose it. I think that could lead to a really big season for Chase Young. Obviously, he's got to stay on the field. But, when we look at the top of the board here, a lot of these guys have had injury issues anyways. Why not play the guy with the longest odds in the field, we know has a ton of potential? So Chase Young, probably the bet for me. This one, I just don't think he can look as far off the top of the board, though, as he can for offense.
Pearce, what do you think here about like a Daniel Hunter? He's been a sack machine this 6-year career. I believe he has double-digit sacks, like in 3 of his last 5 seasons, too.
Well, the sack machine I'm going to go with, he wasn't a double-digit sack leader last season or the last couple, but he was several seasons ago. That's Khalil Mack. I'm surprised to see him as high up on the order. But that, I think Vegas and the Sportsbook believe in this guy, and I think there's a good reason to believe in him. Will he have the opportunity to pile up the sacks? Yeah, he's on a better look. He looked fine last year in the games that he played, and he wasn't really surrounded by a very good defense. Now he's going to be surrounded by a pretty solid defense. The offense is going to have to choose. Are they going to deal with Bosa, or are they going to let Mack run wild on them? They've also brought in the Chargers inside linebackers. They're going to stop the run, which then basically frees Mack up to go for more of the stats and go for the sacks and not necessarily worry about getting all the tackles. I think this team's going to win. You got to win. You got to have a good defense to win this award. And I think the Chargers are going to win. They'll get sacks. The defense has improved. He's surrounded by a lot of good players. He's not that old. He's not that far removed from his previous Defensive Player of the Year award. He's got the comeback narrative. I think everything is there. I was just surprised to see him be as close to the top as he is.
While you guys are here, before you take off, the USFL season is still happening. There's only 4 weeks left in the regular season. Any DFS leans this weekend? Let's not forget the Birmingham Stallions. Everyone knows that's looking to remain undefeated.
I love how you say it's still happening.
It is still happening. Some people forget about it. There's a lot going on in this world,
Yeah. Okay. Well, so what is still happening is Trey Walker and Devin Ross are still too cheap in terms of targets, receptions, receiving yards. They're at the top of the league, and there's really no explanation whatsoever for why Trey Walker and Devin Ross are cheap. So they're going to be people you'll lock in at wide receiver, and then Geoff's favorite Reggie Corbin and Darius Victor also top of the league in receiving, and for whatever reason, they're below 6K. So I think those are going to be your 4 chalk USFL plays they're still chalk.
Hey, Geoff, not only has Birmingham remained perfect, but they added that weapon to their offense last week, running back, Bo Scarborough, okay, carried the ball 16 times in week 6, 105 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, that's right. I'm an expert.
Former Detroit Lion, third-string quarterback, or running back, Bo Scarborough. Yeah, absolutely. Pearce is right. Reggie Corbin is still a pretty good play because Jeff Fisher will want to run the ball a million times, even though there's nothing to play for here because his team is terrible. But he'll be chalk. I think if you want to get a little bit, whatever we want to call it these days, you want to dial up the variance and maybe get a little contrarian. You have to target this Philadelphia Stars Houston Gamblers game. Two of the worst defenses in the league. Case Cookus, who's apparently a thing and going to be starting for Philadelphia. I mean, going up against the worst defense in the league in terms of opposing quarterbacks. I like that. On the other side, like Isaiah Zuber, I believe former New England Patriot Isaiah Zuber, has put up like a really nice like yards per reception, yards per target kind of rate here. So I think Zuber's in for a big game, and I think you could play on the other side. You play the cheap quarterback in Cookus. I mean, this is the game with like the biggest point total. It's got a whopping 44 point total here, which for the USFL is basically 65 points. So I would target that game in tournaments this week. Houston's bad. I mean, there's no defense to be played on either side of that ball.